So we're back again for another episode here. I'm in my Kansas City Monarchs hat from the Negro Leagues, and I'm drinking a None of Your Business peanut butter stout.
It's tough.
Good Michigan beer here.
Yeah, I went and supported my Anheuser-Busch, of course, because, I went with Natter Days because it's for the boys, and I'm feeling vacation stuff right now. So when they sponsor us, I'm telling you boys, we're gonna be pretty set. So
I know Mike is drinking the hard stuff.
Water.
He's got the water, rocking the water tonight.
We appreciate it.
Yes. Tonight we're going to talk about the FIRE movement, which is financial independence, retire early. So,
and if you asked me last week what it meant, I'm pretty sure I said, F it, retire early. So.
I'm pretty sure that's what you said. And I think you're feeling that right now too.
I am. Yeah. It's a weird slump to go through with this company, It's why I enjoy this talk and what we're going to be doing, because so much of me wants to push towards this, and I feel like I'm there, but I'm missing a few key steps, and I just got to get that figured out in my life first.
So Nick, what does FIRE mean? Financial independence, retire early. What are they talking about here?
Sure. So the movement, right, is everybody thinks like it's a hipster movement and it's this thing where you have to live off of nothing. But honestly, what it is exactly what the first two words are to us, right? It's financial independence. And when they say retire early, it really just means do something you don't have to do but want to do, right? When you get asked all the time, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like, you want to be able to not have to do, like, you want to be able to make the answer for that question, right? Like, you don't want to be forced to. You just want to go, this is what I want to do, this specific thing right here. So, so the quick basis behind it, right, is saving more than 50%. They say 75. I mean, if you're getting really in depth, save 75% of your income, and try to do it's called like the 25% or the 25 times rule or the 4% rule. There's different names for it, but basically, let's say you're an average person, $40,000 a year is how much you make, and that's how much it's going to cost for you to live off of. So they want you to save as much as possible in all your funds. So and get 25 times that. So 40,000 times 25 is an even $1 million. And the idea is that you take that $1 million and you have it invested throughout multiple sources, and the goal is to get a guarantee. You want to hope to get a guaranteed 4% return on your money. I mean, it's really hard to find that 4% guarantee right now, but so between your stocks, between your you can't take your 401 unless you're older, but right between all your investments, you need to make 4%. So the idea behind it is they say 4% because if you earn 4% per year, every year you'll be able to withdraw $40,000 and never touch that principal amount of $1 million. So, right, if I have $1 million invested, it earned 4% that year. So that when I go to look at it, it's going to look like $1,040,000, right? So I'll be able to just take that big chunk of 40,000, withdraw it, and I'll have $1 million trying to regrow that percent again. Breaking it down, 40,000 is about $770 per week. So now we talk about how people are doing it, right? So we want to get into that. People are not buying cars. I mean, the reason they say it's a hipster thing is because like hipsters aren't getting their driver's license; they're buying cars, right? Or they're not buying cars, right? They're taking their bicycles and they're going to the grocery store with that. So they don't have gas. They don't have that that insurance bill. They don't have the maintenance bill. They don't have, they don't have the maintenance bill. They don't have the insurance bill. They don't have that insurance bill. They don't have that bill. They don't have that insurance 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 bill. They don't have that the purchase price, you know, even if they're financed. So, right, they're living very minimalist lives. You know, to save 75% of your income while you're working. I mean, man, that's tough to do, right? It really is. So a lot of these people are doing it while they're younger, no family to rely, you know, that has to be depending on them. I guess that's why it's kind of been more generation. It's not that we don't want to work; it's that we want to be able to do what we want when we want to. That's my whole philosophy of life, right? I live to do what I want when I want. I don't get to right now. I have to still, but that's where I want to be in life, and that's where my passion is. You know, I hope I was very specific on that, like with the 4%. You can't just put it into a savings account. Nobody's going to give you 4% on $1 million just sitting there doing nothing, right? So you're going to have it spread out through some investments that we've talked about in other episodes.
Well, when you talk about hipsters, you know, this is one of the things they like. The other thing, which I guess go hand in hand with hipsters, are millennials. Millennials love the FIRE method, and one of the reasons why is because even though they get a bad rap, I think millennials work really hard. They just don't work really hard at a 9-to-5 job. They get sick of doing what they're told they're supposed to do. They want to be compensated fairly, which, you know, when I remember I went through this activity in middle school where you had to, you know, grab the help wanted ads, and you had to look for a job, you had to look for a vehicle, you had to look for an apartment and try to make everything work. And I remember looking in there, and I could find a decent vehicle for like $4,000 or $5,000. I could find a decent apartment for like $200 or $300 a month, and I could find a job for $10-12 an hour. And you looking at that, you're like, all right, well, I can pretty much do anything I need to do on $10 or $12 an hour with these bills. And that's not the world we live in anymore. I mean, you know, if you're not making 60, 70, 80,000 a year, you're struggling. And let's face it, you know, if you're a millennial and you went to school and you're graduating 100, 150,000 in debt, a 9-to-5 job's not cutting that, because they still want to start you at $12 an hour.
Oh,
The
yeah,
math doesn't add up.
Yeah, I'm finding that now. I mean, you know, there's some jobs I'm not qualified for because I don't have a degree. But even with the degree, like, they're wanting to start people at 14 an hour, and I'm just like, you're no, like, you know, so I get behind what these people want to do, right? And everybody thinks that they just want to sit home and play video games. You know what? I think most people behind the video game think, no, like, their big dream is to, like, create that video game, right? Like, they're probably better at computers than you and I combined, know how to program this stuff, right? I just downloaded an app on my phone. It's a stupid video game, but then I was talking to some people on it, and they were talking about how they make $260,000 a day off of the app, and I'm just sitting here going, okay, like, yeah, I need to create a video game app, you know? I mean, so, right, this I'll be honest, I'll plug him. His name is Mr. Money Mustache, because
Love him.
yeah, so he's a big FIRE movement guy. I want to say he lives in Colorado, right? He's got his little small community thing. People go out there and hang, you know. And, right, again, he rides his bike to the store. The only thing that scares me about that is, like, with the FIRE movement is, I mean, you could set your level of what you want. So the longer it takes you to get to that point, right? So, you know, with Mr. Money Mustache, I mean, he's like, hey, I want to live off of like $10K a year, right? Like, we're going to make our own bread. We're going to do all this. Like, it's a very, you know, and so people see that as like a, whoa. And that's not the lifestyle for me. I'm not going to say it's not the lifestyle for other people. Like, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. Like, if you forever want to bunk with 5 people in one house, like, and you're happy, like, happiness is where it's at to me.
So, and we've talked about this before when, you know, we've had previous episodes where we talked about different things to do to make money. I love Coin Out. I use Coin Out all the time. I make, $2, $3, $4, $5 a month off of it. Mike comes up to see me. He hands me his receipts and he goes, "Here, have fun." Because it's not worth him and his time to do that, because he's not looking at the, hey, I want to make $2, $3, $4. He's looking at, if it was paying me $5 to do this each time, I'd do it. Am I right, Mike?
Yep.
But at 2 cents, you're sitting there going, yeah, that's not worth my time.
Yep.
So, I mean, you have to figure out, we go back to this all the time, who you are as a person and what you're willing to put in. So if you want to live in a commune and have 5 people live with you and live off $10,000 a year and bake your own bread and make all your food, then more power to you. That's great.
Yep.
There are parts of that I really like. I love it when my wife makes bread. She makes really good bread. I like eating it. It's fantastic. Am I going to live that way the rest of my life? Hell no. There are things I want to do too. We talk about it all the time, and the 3 of us talk about it quite a bit. We have different tastes in beer. So Mike and I and Nick, all 3 of us, we really like a lot of the same beers. We love porters, we love stouts. Mike's of the point where, if he goes out, yeah, he could drink a Bud Light, he'll deal with it, it's not a big deal. I'm to the point where if I had to buy, a cheap beer, I can buy a cheap beer and make that last because it's cheaper. I would love to buy Nutter Your Business all the time, but I can buy 6 of these for $12. I can buy 24 of these for 15. Yep. At some point, you have to look and weigh those things out and say, okay, well, I'm at a point in my life right now where 24 of these for 16, that's okay. And once in a while, I'll buy 6 of these for 12. Yep.
I'm saying this. When I started drinking, I got into the microbrew stuff quite a bit. And the problem was I was always hanging out with like people who weren't into it, right? I mean, so I kind of died out of it, and then my friends started getting into it, and it was this trend, and I was like, I'm pretty much done. And so, but I got back into it. I still enjoy a good beer, but to throw back a thing of hams or natter days because it's fun with the boys, or I say I'll drink. I think it's here with Deposit in Michigan. It's a 30 rack of hams for $13. I go buy four Dragon's Milks from New Holland, and that's $26 or so. And it's just like, I mean, yeah, I can do it for the taste, but this tastes pretty all right to me. So.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the fire movement, again, you have to figure out, okay, what kind of saver am I? What kind of spender am I? Are you the type of person that's going to go, yeah, I'll go do DoorDash, or I'll go do Shipt, or I'll go do Instacart, and I'll make extra money doing that stuff? If you're willing to do those things, that's great. That's extra money. So, I've talked in previous episodes that, I'm trying to pay off my roof because I took a loan from my daughter. So I started out the year January owing her 19 grand, and I'm down to under 5,000 right now, and I'll have her paid off by the end of the year. Every extra dime I get, whether it's, turning in scrap metal or doing surveys or getting a Capital One check back for money I spent, or my wife doing Shipt because, she picks up a couple Shipt shops a week, that money goes to pay her off so I can just get it done with, and then I can start, doing other things with my money come next year. Because again, there are things I want to be able to retire at some point. We had the argument in the house the other day that, she was talking, hey, I'd really like to do this, but we don't have money for it. And I'm like, I can always find $300 or $400. I might not like it, but I can do it. And I ran out the next day and I'm like, hey, Delta's down and Royal Caribbean's down and Exxon Mobil's down, and I bought some stock, and I spent about $400.
Yeah.
And right now, they're all half of what they used to be, if not a third of what they used to be. Yeah, I'm hedging my bet, but still a pretty good bet.
And that's the biggest thing. With again, we go back to what fire movement, right? It's all about what it means to you as a person. Retire early. Um, some people think that, you know, I don't know. David, what's your retirement age? Do you have any idea? Like, I think Social Security, we can draw at like 67 now. I can.
So you can draw early at 65, but you don't get your full benefit till 67. I just turned 43, so we're talking 24 years. Is that math right, Mike? Okay, so we're talking 24 years for me. I'm telling you right now, I'm not working 24 more years.
Yeah.
Now, I might not draw Social Security that early because I could start drawing it in my earlier 60s if I want to, but I don't. What I want to do now is start maximizing those retirement accounts so I can sit there and say, okay, I'm 50, I'm 55. Again, we talked about this. I work from home, so I'm not anxious to stop doing what I do. I like my job. It's a good job. It's a good, strong company. I get to work from home. I get good benefits. So I'm not looking to leave it. But, by the time I'm 65, I would hope I'm not doing it anymore. I'd hope at 65 I say, yeah, I'm good. My investments have paid off. I don't need to take Social Security yet. I can still wait another 2 years on that. I can basically do, whatever I want as long as I'm still kicking. So really the next 20 years for me, because that'll put me at 63, those are very, very serious years. I have to figure out how much more can I throw at retirement, whether that's in investment accounts or my 403B or my Roth IRAs, because at the end of the day, we talk about financial independence, retire early. I really think that retire part is kind of a misnomer. So my thought of retirement is you retire, you don't work anymore, you have to find things to do, you putz around the house. I'm not interested in that. I don't putz around the house.
Let me
go ahead, Nick.
No, I say, I want to make this fun real quick. Mike, 7/14/2020, when we're recording this, if you could be doing anything right now, what would you be doing? David.
I own beer.
You'd have a beer, right? So now we grow on that. We grow on that. I mean, would you be a beer tester, right? I mean, if you could, right? So, David, if you could pick a job that you wanted to do, didn't matter the income, what would you do?
I would probably continue to coach. I love coaching.
So
I mean, Mike would make beer. I would coach. I know Nick would do something philanthropic, whether it be coaching or mentoring, young entrepreneurs, things like that. I can tell you right now, my wife opening her own business, I think the best help we've had is successful business people saying, try this, do this, this is an option, just walking her through those waters. And that's something that, I look at Nick and I'm like, man, Nick is going to be great at doing that stuff someday. Literally, it's the reason we do this stuff right now, because we want to be able to do it now, not 20 years from now. So, we're doing it with this, but, 20 years from now, we may not be doing this anymore, but Nick's still going to be telling people, hey, this is how I got into rentals, and this is how I made my money, and this is what I want to see you do, because he has people that are doing that for him right now.
And that's just key. I mean, I do. I'm very fortunate with, I'm wise enough, which is surprising to say that about myself. I'm wise enough to listen to when people say this is the mistake I made, don't make it. So far, I don't make that mistake, right? I think for me, as I said, so as some of you guys have been watching these episodes as they come, I am back to work. My company has downsized people. They moved me positions to something I don't enjoy. They also just gave me a pay cut, which I definitely don't enjoy that. So now it's like, man, this is really what I've been looking for in my life, is like, I now have a little bit of time because I have my side income to find what I want to do, right? And like, I post things out there of like, what would you do if you guys were in this situation? And you know, I'll be honest, I live in the USA, which I absolutely love the United States. It's, but right now medical is so dang expensive, right? And so like, my calculations are like, okay, my wife is probably going to lose her job. So now we're going to have two people with no medical insurance. If I quit my job, and live off of my money, what's she going to do? So we need medical. So if I have to buy the medical insurance, then I'm not going to have enough money to live off of at least the lifestyle that I want, right? So, yes, could I live off of what I make right now? Yes, right? Could I live happily as a father to the daughter that I have the way I live? No, right? She didn't ask to grow up the same way I grew up, with no being the answer. I don't hand my kid everything, but like, I want her to have those extra little things. She even today, right? So she's like, I can't wait to go to summer camp, and I'm like, how do you know about summer camp? Like, you're 4 years, and I missed out on those opportunities as a kid. I didn't go to summer camp, right? So like, this is why I work. I want that money for summer camp. So the retire early thing is, to me, is literally like, I'm at that point. I got a couple things to hit, right? And so I have some. We talked about real estate. I have some money out there right now, and I'll be honest, it's now the deal has fallen through twice. We're working on our third one. They're in negotiations right now. But I was supposed to have my money back a while ago, plus money. So now I'm losing how much I was supposed to make. So it's not a guarantee kind of a thing. I want people to understand that investing is not a guarantee. My hope is to get my money back, not lose, But, if I could guarantee it, I'd retire right now, right? I'd just keep throwing that money back out there and just saying, hey, keep bringing it in. And you'll always have people that will tell you, oh, I can guarantee it. Nothing in life is a guarantee unless you control it yourself, right? I mean, so, this movement is, I think if you do any steps towards it, you'll be a heck of a lot farther, right? I mean, I got moved back to the production area, right? And instantly I bring up, 401ks, and yeah, I don't plan to be here. And I'm just like, man, don't care how long you plan to be there. Throw money at it, man. Like, come on. And so it's like, take these small steps, take these, and 1% is better than no percent, 10% is better than 1%, So the idea, you don't have to do 75. You don't have to be gung-ho, but you have to not want to, if you own the business right now and you're the person that loves exactly what they do, right? And you don't want to travel, you don't want to do anything else different in life. Man, this movement isn't for you, right? But it's the people that don't want to answer to people. It's the people that want to wake up when they want to. They want to go to bed when they want to. They want to do the job they want to. Go on vacation. They want to answer to themselves, and that's it, right? This is what this movement's about.
So you bring up a great point, hitting the insurance. So, I work for the insurance company, so I'm kind of invested in them continuing to charge a lot of money for a lot of nothing. I didn't say that. So there's an artist I know who posted earlier today that, hey, I've been kind of quiet on social media, but I kind of want to let you guys know where I'm at. I got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it's stage 2, and it's very treatable, but, I don't have good insurance, because she's an artist, and what artist has good insurance? So she's got a GoFundMe, trying to raise money for all these chemo bills that she's going to have, because we live in a country that feels healthcare is a privilege, not a right. I'm not going to get on a political rant here, but, when we're looking at jobs, when we're looking at, what can we do with our life, that is a big factor. My daughter's going to be aging out of my insurance next year, which worries me because she doesn't get offered insurance. So we're going to have to go on the marketplace and buy insurance for her. And, knock on wood, we'll have a new president next year that will not strip the Affordable Care Act to damn near nothing, because at least with it out there, I have the ability to help her find insurance that will, cover some of the issues that she has.
I'm saying she has medical issues. So,
she does. I mean, she's got rheumatoid arthritis, and they're talking about doing infusions, and it's going to be expensive. It's not going to be cheap.
Yep.
So I got to find insurance that's going to cover these things. And, I don't want her sitting there at 26 years old going, okay, how do I pay for any of this stuff? Because you shouldn't have crippling debt from medical bills. And looking at the two of you, Mike's a little bit older than me, but he's got two younger kids, and he has to carry insurance not only on himself, but his two kids. Nick's got to carry it on his family, and, his wife works too, and she has it. And, we were at Nick's the other day, and she's like, Courtney said specifically, hey, come early August, I got no insurance, which freaked Nick out, because he's sitting there going, all right, well, I don't know if I have a job, which means I don't know if I have insurance. And they're sitting there going, all right, well, we have a 4-year-old that needs to have insurance. And unfortunately, we live in a day and age where Nick and Courtney make too much money, so they're not getting any help. It's pony up some money or, go live in the poorhouse. We really don't care. So when you're looking at, financial independence, you also have to factor in, what do I need to make sure, I'm happy and healthy? Because those are things that have to be paid for. You can skip having a car, you can ride your bike everywhere, or live in a town where you can walk or use the L. I know, when my mom was young, she lived in Chicago, I was born there, and she rode the L or the bus. That's how she got around. She didn't need a car. They had great transportation. We live in Grand Rapids. Mike lives in Portage. There's, we have a bus system here, but Nick, have you ever taken the bus here?
When I was really young, we did it as a fun activity just to do it. But in Jenison, where I live, I don't have a bus.
Right.
So it's not an option. Granted, we're in technology, so Uber is a thing. But for me to get somewhere, I mean, I don't make great money. I'm living whatever. So Uber is going to cost me $50 just to get to an activity, and it's like, man, the activity's, it's not worth it. So.
Well, I'm one of those people. Nick has driven for Uber. He liked it. It was fun. I've taken some Ubers. We took a trip last year to Chicago for Star Wars Celebration. I did not drive out of the hotel except for one time. The other times I left, I took Ubers because I didn't want to lose a parking spot, and that's just easy. It wasn't expensive, but it also wasn't cheap. $20, $25 a trip. And, we've talked about vacations in an episode, and, Nick said, if you have money in the account and you want to do it on vacation, you just do it. And I'm of the same theory. If you're on vacation, there is no.
Yep.
If you want to do it, you just do it because it's a vacation.
So, I can't tell you guys enough how much this fire movement is really, it's changing a lot of people. So, I mean, people talk about millennials and not doing anything, but right, statistics show that millennials actually invest faster and more than people of higher generations. Opinion is because I watched families. I mean, I watched families go into foreclosure because of the crisis. I bought foreclosures because of the crisis. People. Let's be honest, David. You told my story about not knowing about insurance, right? This is exactly why I went to college, because I needed insurance, right? So now I'm back to this I'm back to being an 18-year-old kid who has to take a job with somebody. I have to sacrifice my happiness to do something. I have to be a man because this specific thing has told me I have to, because I haven't been financially responsible to an extreme, right? I've let my wife and I go get steaks. I've let my wife and I go on vacations. We haven't been extremists. We don't want to be extremists, right? But right, so I'm at this point where I need to rely on insurance or find other income. And at this moment, I don't want to revamp my whole business because of fear. That's all it is fear. I fear I'll lose exactly where I want to be, who I want to be, and how I want to do it, right? And I don't want to lose that about me. I'm very proud of who I am and how I do things. I hold myself to a very high standard. So, I think, it's one thing that bothers me, and I think these people are getting sick and tired of. I remember watching my father growing up come home and just sit on the couch. He sit on the couch just in pain, right? He had surgery not too long back. My mother is having her 5th surgery on her. She's had back, she's had neck, she's having foot, right? But we're all workers, right? We all are workers in my family, physical laborers. And I'm tired of watching this type of thing. And I think other people in this world are tired of watching people come home, hate their life, and just go, oh God, right? So this movement to me, man, it means a lot in the aspect of, you know what, I can set that example. My wife told my daughter what happened about my demotion at work or whatever. My daughter apologized and said, Daddy, I'm sorry that they're being mean to you. And she shouldn't know those types of things at 4 years old, but it also, like, I told her, I said, look, no matter what you do, make sure you do it with a passion in life and never take something that you don't have to do, right? So it's a great teaching moment for me, because I'm hoping that her life is just that much better than what mine is.
So we've talked, a little bit about millennials. I want to get into generations for a minute here, because I think it's important when it comes to the FIRE movement. So we talk constantly that, we have the greatest generation, which were, my grandfather's generation. He landed at Normandy on D-Day. They fought fascists in Germany and Japan and Italy. Fascism seems to be a big thing right now because we have the Antifa movement, which everybody says is organized. It's not organized, by the way. I have some friends that think it's organized. You're fucking idiots. There's no organization there. They're just fighting fascism. Fascism is bad. Fascism is Hitler. My grandfather fought against that. He honestly was the greatest generation because they didn't worry about themselves. They just wanted people to be free. I'm a firm believer that the generation that came after them, the baby boomers, are the worst generation because they're whiny and bitchy and just give me that, it's mine. You know what? Fuck you, boomers. I'm a firm believer that the second greatest generation out there is Generation X. Mike and I are both in that generation. We're the type of generation that we realize that shit's just not fair. It's not fair. But we just put our heads down and keep moving forward. And Nick really hits, that beginning of that millennial generation where they get this horrible, horrible rap. But these, they're not really kids anymore because you can't say they're kids. They're, in their 30s and they're making their way going, you know what? 9 to 5 sucks. I don't want to do that. I want to get paid what I'm worth. I'm worth way more than $12 an hour. I don't know why the hell you're trying to pay me $12 an hour. And that's literally what companies have come down to. They're like, well, I know you went to school for 8 years after high school, but you're only worth $12. Bullshit. So these kids went out and they found, other ways to make money so that they're not dependent on a business anymore. Nick and I have talked about this recently. His job does not like him because he walks in there and he does not need his job. He has rental properties that make him money. He has other streams of income. He keeps that job because they give him decent benefits, whether it's the 401k or it's the medical insurance, whatever it is. And they get mad because when they say jump, he's supposed to say how high. But he's of the generation that they don't say how high, they go, screw you, I'm going to go over here instead. And that pisses jobs off. Tell me I'm wrong, Nick. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. You know, it's tough, right? Because I don't want people to think that I don't, right? So, I mean, when I walked back, I had a really pissed attitude about going back to production, right? But I walk to production and I give it 100%, right? I don't want people to think I'm lazy and I don't do whatever. Like, it's never. I will always work as hard as I possibly can give because I know a company is paying me. Okay, so now when this company's paying me a good amount of money, I was pretty happy, especially a job. Now they took my job from me, but I was still getting paid. So I was like, you know what? Then they took money from me. Now they're saying that the job I'm doing isn't worth the amount of money that I'm doing. And you want me to still work as hard? That's very hard for me to deal with, right? Like people out there are like, oh, you should be grateful you have a job. Nope, that's the mindset right here that this fire movement is all about. I don't need to be grateful I have a job, okay? I need to be grateful that I can support my family and have benefits. Like I don't want that as my mindset, right? I being a business owner, I understand the risk of opening a business, right? I understand that the top people are supposed to be the most knowledgeable. But man, you know what? When you feel disrespected, you're not supposed to give the respect back, right? I mean, it's the thing that goes back. It's been bugging me a lot. Like people are talking about, oh, you got to respect those that are there. Okay, well, these people aren't respecting me right now. At least I don't feel respected, right? I don't feel these things. So, and again, everybody tells me, oh, F your feelings. No, it's not that, right? Like when you get to this mindset of fire movement where you get to have your own opinion, your own feelings, man, that's what life is, right? Because like when you can tell somebody no, you win, right? If somebody says, hey, you got to work Saturday and Sunday, 14 hours a day, and you just go, nah, I don't need to. I mean, America needs to keep moving and all that, but when there's this passion and this joy, just if you ever have had that point in life where you just go, let's say you're in a job that you haven't loved and one of your friends or something says, man, you should come work for this company. You know that 2 weeks of work, you're just like, I gave my 2 week note, you're just like, man, you're like there's this weight lifted, right? To where you're not controlled by this thing anymore and things are going to be a little bit better. So, right, it's the idea to make you a happy person in life. So
one of those things, I'm going to go back to the year we coached together. So I hired Nick as a varsity assistant coach my 4th year coaching high school softball, and it was really a transition year for me. I lost one of my top assistants. He went to run a program at Coopersville, which I now coach with him. My daughter graduated the year before, and I decided, okay, I'm going to come back and I'm going to make a go of this, and it's going to be okay. And I talked Nick into coming and helping Marv and I out. And I remember we had an issue with a player that she had quit, and parents wanted a meeting because when you quit, at the point she quit at, she had to sit out a quarter of the next season of whatever sport she played, which was volleyball. So the parents wanted a meeting to get us to say, no, that's not going to happen. So we had the meeting. It ended up being myself, Nick, my daughter, who was an assistant coach for me at the time, and Marv, who was my top assistant, who I coached with for, 15 years. And we sat there and we had this meeting, and I laid out all the reasons why, no, she has to sit out. And I got to the point where I was just so beaten down that I didn't care anymore. And I was just like, whatever, I just don't give a shit. And they were recounting situations where there was an issue with this kid in school, and the teacher called and talked to the parents, and the parents talked to the kid, and they got it worked out. And there was an issue in volleyball, and the coach called and talked to the parents, and the parents talked to the kid, and they got it worked out. And why didn't you do that with us? And Nick looked at the parents and goes, so what you're telling me is your kid was an asshole in school. Teachers called, you told your kids to stop being an asshole. Your kid was an asshole in volleyball. The coach called and told you, that your kid was being an asshole. You told your kid to stop being an asshole. And now you've gotten to softball, which is half a year later, your kid's still an asshole. And you think we should call you? And the mom looked at him and goes, I don't like the way you said that. And he goes, I don't like your kids. So I don't know what to tell you. That sucks to be you. And we got done having that conversation, and they went off on their way, and we went off on their way. And I looked at Nick and Caitlin and Marv, and I said, I just don't care anymore. Just let her play. And they're like, no, screw that. She did everything wrong. She's an ass. She can sit out. And we held her to sitting out. And again, that goes back to, you can do whatever you want to do, but there are going to be consequences, and you have to be willing to pay those consequences. Yeah, and when it comes to the fire movement, if you're willing to pay the consequences of, not going on a trip or not buying Nut of Your Business peanut butter stout or not going and getting a filet mignon, then, that's great. You can sacrifice and you can get cheaper things. Nick, what were you going to say? Because I know you had a thought there.
No, I was saying, my favorite part about that whole story, right, is the dad looks at us and you can just tell, he's like, you're right. The mom's like, oh no, I'm not going to let this happen. Dad's like, yeah, we're just going to walk away on this one. I was going to say, I will, that'll be one of my fondest memories for a while, just going, nah, I'm pretty all right with no. So, no, I think, again, it's about the amount that you want to sacrifice. I think too many people think that people are just trying to live up. I mean, and there are some, right? I'll be honest. Part of me has that mindset where it's like, man, I really want to live where everybody kind of supports everybody. But I know it doesn't work, right? Because there's going to be people who work harder and people who work, that don't work, and it's never going to work for me. I will always try to be like that financial person that tries to get ahead, and then I'll get pissed when that person is just sitting there doing nothing, and I'm like, can't do it, gotta go. Right? So I mean that's why I'm a business owner. But I see it where people just think that, oh, everybody wants to live off of, live off the land for free and grow their own vegetables and just commune it up. And I'm like, no, it's not all commune people, right? I mean, yes, there are extremists, right? There's extremists in everything that you do in life. I mean, that's the biggest thing you'll understand. Whether it's people who are working, I don't even know how many hours there are in a week anymore, 100 something hours a week, or there's people that work 2 hours. Huh?
168.
160, right? There's people that are probably working 150 hours, right? Getting a couple hours of sleep a night. And then there's people that are working 2 hours a day, kind of a thing. And who are we to tell them that they're wrong? I mean, the only thing that bothers you is you think that they're lazy, or you think that they're overachievers trying to get, like, what you do in your life doesn't impact me, except for, right, everybody's like, oh, it's my taxes. Look, vote no, right? Get out and vote. Make your opinion count. Whether it happens or not, it sucks, right? Keep fighting for it. Do what you got to do. But a vote's a vote, and welcome to America. That's how things work. Trust me, I just got a tax bill for $9,888.68. We've had COVID. I've had 3 people not pay for God knows how long, and I've still have to pay my tax bill. What do you want me to do about it, right? So that's my quick high horse. I can go out and lobby for it, but I get frustrated by people thinking that everybody just wants to be lazy. Not everybody, right? And again, if you think it's being lazy, maybe take a look at exactly what they want. Happiness literally comes from small amounts. I mean, as long as you can get by and have the things you want, not everybody needs a 5-star hotel, right? I mean,
well, you've said it in a past episode. I need a place to lay my head.
Yep.
A clean place to lay my head. And if I have
free breakfast isn't bad either.
Yeah, free breakfast is helpful.
Never bad.
Nick's even happier if they got tacos for breakfast.
Oh man, that's what life's about.
So I mean, you have to, again, we talk about this all the time. So how do I plan for things? Budget. Budgeting is number one. Figure out what you can sacrifice and what you can't. So is TV really that important? Do you need to spend, $90 on cable or dish or whatever? Or can you, find something cheaper to do? There are options out there. I love the idea of, retiring early, not for the fact that I know I'm going to retire, because even when retirement comes, I'm still going to be doing stuff. I'm not retiring. I was looking into a lot of different articles when it came to this, and one of the articles I read was, I learned that retiring early was the wrong goal to have, and that's absolutely accurate. I'm not looking to retire. I'm looking to focus on other things that, might be more important to me now because I have those things taken care of.
Yeah. It's funny, before I knew about this movement, I started getting a little bit of financial money from real estate, and my wife has always said, "Oh, I don't want to stop working," and we have this fight. And it's not that I'm trying to live my wife's life, right? It's just I'm trying to get her to understand that. So my wife is an occupational therapist. For those of you that don't know, right? So she works hard. She went to college. She wants to use her degree. Now I'm trying to get her to understand, and it's always a fight. She doesn't need to be paid, right? Right now we're financially not there, but she needs pay, right? But at some point in our life, I want to get to the point where she doesn't need pay. I want her to be able to. So right now she lives by certain codes and laws, and she can only see people that this company will allow pay, right? So they have to deny people. So I want to get to the point where anybody that gets denied for her help, right, she can help them. I mean, she can go and seek these people out for free. Like, she can help the world. We can travel to any country. She can walk into a place and say, "Hey, look, you have people that need my service," right? If you don't know what occupational therapy is, right, look it up. It's teaching people how to use things, but their body and the way that they've done it. So, I get her to understand, like, hey, look, we could go to Costa Rica, live there, have our income come in, and you can go work there if you want. And guess what? In 3 months, when I'm tired of being at this place, we can go to Germany. You could, if they allow you to practice, if they allow you to volunteer at a place that just needs a little extra help, we can go to Mexico. We can go to Australia. We can go anywhere, and you can still work, and you can still make an impact on the world, but you don't have to get paid. If you get paid, awesome. If you don't, oh well, right? I mean, and that's the biggest key for me is getting her to understand, hey, we want to live our life to where, again, we can jump and go wherever the heck we want when we want to, and nobody has to tell us when to.
Well, I go back into one of my passions, obviously, is coaching. I've done it for a long, long time.
Yep.
And, Nick worked for me when I was a head coach, and I'm obviously no longer a head coach. I'm not a head coach anymore because I was a huge pain in the ass and I got fired. They'll tell you I got fired because I was singing while drunk. Truth is, I'm just a huge pain in the ass, and I yell at people a lot, and if you don't do what I want you to do, I tell you to piss off because, I literally got fired because I said, what are they going to do? Fire me? Fuck them. They fired me. So I went and started coaching with a former assistant of mine, and he brought me in and he told everybody, you know what, this was my mentor. He got me into coaching. he's who I model our program after. And all these girls, they're like, so how much older are you than Coach? And I'm like, he's like 3 years older than me. What are you talking about? And they go, well, but he said you're his mentor. Yeah, I started coaching high school softball when I was like 32. He wasn't coaching. I got people into it. You don't necessarily have to be older to be a mentor. My goal when I was coaching was taking people that might want to possibly be head coaches someday and coaching them up so that they could go and run their own program. I hated losing Chris as an assistant coach. It was horrible. I sat on the porch, which I'm pointing to right now. I sat on the porch, and I got hammered that night because I was so pissed off because I knew he had an interview that night, and I knew he was going to leave. I remember, a couple days later, the AD at Coopersville called me, and he said, so what can you tell me about Chris Yost? And I said, listen, he's the best coach I've ever coached with, and if you don't hire him, you're a fool. I really hope you're a fool. I got a call like 3 days later from Yost, and he goes, they offered me the job. And I went, all right, well, we need to have a meeting with the girls because you need to tell them. I didn't have to ask if he took it. I knew. But at the end of the day, that's your goal. You're coaching people up to be better than what you are. So Nick has a mentor that's coaching him up so that he can be doing better than what his mentor is doing. And when you're looking at the fire movement, that's what people are doing. They're sitting there going, hey, I want to get to the point where I can do what I want to do. And a lot of these people are, I want to teach you how to do this so that you don't have to rely on a 9-to-5 job at a place that literally will post your job before your obituaries in the paper because they don't give three rats' asses about you.
Yep.
Because let's face it, my boss really appreciates me. I know his boss appreciates me, but that one's going to a new position pretty soon, so there's going to be another boss that doesn't know who the hell I am and doesn't give a rat's ass about me. Nick, you know who your boss is? Have you met them yet? Because you got a new one now.
I've met my boss.
Do they give a shit about you?
No. I met his boss the day that for the let's call it 15 minutes that we sat in a meeting where they took money from me. And I'll be honest, I said a lot of words, and I'm surprised I still have my job. And that was the plant manager who, he at least understood why I was the most pissed off he's seen of people in a long time. But yeah, it just, if I leave, these people don't care, right? Like they'll just be like, okay, cool. We just saved ourselves X amount of dollars an hour. I don't care. They'll hire a new person for, half price. I mean, literally half price because I've more than doubled how much I started at. Wow, that's crazy to say. But right, they'll just start over again, and that's the thing, man. Like, I think when you look at these people, even in your older age, right, you see people who, right. So David, I mean, you're what, 43? He's the kind of guy who, when his daughter turned 18, started not being so financially depending on him. He upped his money, right? I mean, that's what these people are doing. They're improving the fire move. So they're like, okay, well, I'm going to start maxing out my 401k because I can now. My kid doesn't need softball money. My kid doesn't need summer camp money. My kid doesn't, all these things, right? The kid, your kid's not married, but other people, right? Their kid gets married. Their kid's not depending on them anymore, right? So they can put more towards their retirements. They can do all these things. So every age group, I think, has it. It's just it gets a little bit of a bad rap on the younger kids because they feel like they're not willing to work for it. And it's like, no, and these kids are just trying to get themselves to live off of nothing because they don't want to expect anything out of life. They just want to get by.
Well, and we're really to the point where when Mike and I were growing up, you could expect that you would do better than your parents did. So, Mike, do you make more money than your parents did?
Yeah.
I probably don't. Okay, my mother was an RN. My father, who I don't really talk to, he runs several businesses, so I know he makes way more money than I make. You know, if I talk about the real father figure I have in my life, Steve runs his own construction company. He makes way more money than I make. So we're in the tail end of the doing better than your parents. Nick is right in that area of he probably will not do as well as his parents did. Now, he will, but his generation as a whole will do worse than what their parents did. Because there's no way they can continue to make money with the way the system has now changed. So, you know, in the 70s, you know, before Reagan came in, if you made $9,000, $9 million, this was your tax bracket.
Yep.
You paid like 33%. And if you made $12 million, that extra, you know, $2.5 million, whatever the cutoff was, I think it was 9,999,000. You paid 69% on that extra $2 million. So yeah, you're not bringing home a lot of that extra $2 million, but at the end of the day, if you're making $12 million, you're also not hurting. That switch with Reagan really pushed us into a more rich environment, which, you know, we have seen the wealthy grow exponentially ever since 1980. And now you have the extremely wealthy, the not really middle class anymore, because there really isn't one, and really, really poor people. So George Carlin used to say the poor people are only there to keep the middle class going to their jobs, which is probably true, because at a certain time, so Nick, let's pretend for a minute you have no rentals, right? You have no extra income.
Yep.
You hate your job right now, right?
Yeah.
If you have no extra income, you still go into it?
Every effing day.
Yep. Because if you don't, one of those poor people is going to come in and take it. And that's really where it comes down to, is these millennials are going, you know, this is all bullshit. I don't want to have to rely on company AYZ to make me financially stable. Mind you, it's 2020. Financially stable means able to make it to next week. It doesn't mean able to make it to next year. I know my budget, Nick's budget, Mike's budget. I have several weeks that if I don't get money, I know I'm going to be okay. Nick, you know that?
Yeah, I'm gonna be fine for a few weeks.
Mike?
Good.
Okay. So think of a friend now. I'm thinking of the same one Mike is thinking of, I bet.
Me too now.
Okay, so we're all three thinking about the same friend. Love him to death, great guy. How long does he make it on no money?
A day and a half.
Mike says a day and a half. Nick?
I mean, if he hits it Saturday, I'll give him a full 6 days.
Nick's giving him 6 days. I'm giving him about 45 minutes, okay? It's just not there. This is what we've turned into. We've turned into a society that's going, man, if I don't get paid this week, I'm screwed. That's where the FIRE movement sprung from. These people are going, I'm not living that life. I don't really care about this company because I know they don't care about me, so I'm going to make mine. And if you want to get rid of me, that's great. I'm going to go find another job, and I'm going to make more money at that, because if they don't want to pay me, I'll just go do 8 gig jobs. I don't care.
Well, so I think it's not even necessarily about going to make more money. It's about going to, right? We have feelings. I mean, I'll be honest. If I felt appreciated at my job right now, I wouldn't be as upset. If I felt worth it, I wouldn't feel as upset. You know, like they are a good company to a lot of people. They do pay pretty decent. Benefits are well, right? I don't have any negative for that aspect, but the way that they're treating me during the negative, that's my anger. That's my frustration. That's why, I would never, I would never run somebody along like this, right? I mean, it's all or nothing kind of a thing. So frustrations, but.
Well, and that's a great point too. So I've been in my current position since 2006. So we're talking, what, 14 years. I've had somewhere between 30 and 40 bosses. My current boss is phenomenal. He's just great. The one I had before this, I damn near quit my job because she was a freaking nightmare. Not that she was, a slave driver or anything. She wasn't. She was just dumb. And I didn't want to work for a dummy. It's not necessarily her fault that she's dumb, but, at some point you need to get smarter. I'm one of those people that I'm always trying to learn because I don't want to be dumb. I don't want to be viewed as dumb. I don't want anybody to say, that's a dumb guy. I want them to go, man, that guy's hard to argue with because he knows his shit. So I don't open my mouth if I'm not sure. I don't get into an argument that I don't think I can win. If I know I'm going to get into an argument, I read up on it. Nick and I do this show every week. Mike joins us a lot. I know Mike joins so that he can learn some stuff and throw in his 2 cents when he has it. I know the hour before I hit record, I'm sitting there reading because I want to make sure that I at least have some knowledge on whatever we're talking about. I'm not a fire expert. I don't know a lot about the movement. But I sat there and I read some things, and there were things I went, oh, that that really makes sense to me. One of the articles I read was 5 myths about fire and retiring early, and I want to hit those before we end this. But that's one of those things where I'm sitting there going, okay, well, I'm knowledgeable now. I can talk to it and not sound like an idiot. I'm not knowledgeable enough about it to start out the entire episode and say, hey, this is what fire is. That's why. When we started the episode, I kicked it to Nick because I knew Nick could sit there and say, hey, this is what fire is, and this is what we're looking for, and 70 to 75%, and, you want a 4% return, those things. I knew he was going to be able to drive that thing home. I can't necessarily do that. But I want to make sure that when I am talking, I have some intelligent look at it. It goes back to the credit card thing we've talked about. Nick's not as knowledgeable on credit cards as I am. Throw me the credit card questions. I'll answer all of them because I'll tell you anything you want to know about any specific credit card out there because I know them all.
Right. So five myths. What do you got for myths of fire movement, David?
Oh, some of the myths are the number one myth out there is you must save 50% or more to retire early. So, yeah, that's not accurate. Obviously, if you're saving more than 50%, you're guaranteeing that. But, if you start younger, obviously you need to save less to get to that point. So, really kind of a myth out there. And again, it really depends on what retiring early means. Nick talked earlier about a 4% return. If you get a 6, 7, 8% return, obviously that changes the look of your portfolio. Second myth out there is, early retirement means never working again. I think we drove this one home, don't you guys?
I think we hit that one so hard.
I think we did because we're not looking at saying, hey, we're never doing anything again. We're going to just sit here in the corner and grow old and collect dust. You're going to find something you're passionate about and go do that. Third myth I really liked was fire is only for the young. It's absolutely not. So, I want to be financially independent. I'm 43 years old. Yes, I would like to retire early, but I don't know what retire means to me. My wife runs her own business. I still want to help with that. I work from home. I really like what I do. I might still want to do that until I'm, into my 60s. I don't know. Mike's a couple years older than me. you know, for the most part, he likes what he does. He gets paid really well to do it. He might not sit there and say, hey, yeah, you know, when I hit 58, I want to just say I'm done with it. I'm going to go do something else. Right or wrong, Mike?
You're correct.
So, I mean, you know, retiring early doesn't necessarily mean retiring early, because we still have stuff to do, and you don't have to be young to jump on this FIRE movement, because we all want the flexibility to be able to say, you know what, things have changed at my job. I don't really like who I report to anymore, and I'm out. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do this instead. We want that flexibility so that people aren't going, well, they're just dependent on us and they'll do anything we shove at them.
I was going to say, I have a buddy that owns 50 paid off properties, right? So his income is pretty well. He hasn't worked, he hasn't flipped a property. He hasn't actually physically gone and done physical labor that he hasn't wanted to do in 4 years, right? He's 36. So, you know, I say, hey, what do you do? And he goes, whatever I want, right? Like he goes, I want to go golfing. So I go golfing. Somebody calls me up and says, hey, you want to go do this? Yeah, sounds great. He's got 4 kids. They haven't seen him work a day in their life. So, right, I mean, he answers to nobody except for his wife.
And that's really what we want to get to.
Yep.
You know, that's the goal. So myth number 4, the next bear market will snuff out the FIRE movement. So this is great because we're in the pandemic. And, you know, obviously we hit a bear market there for a little while and everybody lost a bunch of money, and that sucks.
Yep.
But when we look at things, so my mother's a great example. So we switched her investments to pretty conservative about a year ago right now, because I said a recession's coming. I don't want her to get hit as hard by the recession. So when everything tanked to like 30%, she lost 15. So she lost half of what everybody else lost, and that's fantastic. Of course, it came back real quickly, but it doesn't come back as quickly for her because she is so conservative. So, you know, it came back, you know, let's say 20%, but she's only earned about 10% off of that. So she's still down 5% overall, but we hedged those bets. And, you know, at her age, I'm okay hedging that bet.
Yeah.
At my age, I'm taking risks.
So yeah, I'm taking a risk at my age. You know, I say I don't need to guarantee any return right now. So I prefer to take the higher risk. So,
Absolutely.
Yep. And then your final myth
was retiring means saying no to lattes forever. I don't drink lattes, so, you know, that doesn't matter to me. But it really doesn't mean that. There are plenty of ways you can save money and still get the things you want in life, whether that's a latte or a high-end steak or, you know, a high-end hot dog. It doesn't matter. There are options out there.
I think that goes back to what we've talked about this whole time. It's about how bad you want it, right? I mean, if you want to retire at 22, yes, you're right. That does mean no lattes. That means you're sitting at home, you're living off your friends, you're mooching, you're doing whatever it takes. But you know, it means you're not spending a dime, you're saving it all. I 100% agree. But if you want to make it to 24 and you want a latte every week, it's not going to affect you, right? So it's about how bad do you want it, right? How much are you willing to give to get what you absolutely want? So
yeah. So again, if you have questions, please send questions to us. If you have topics you'd like us to hammer on, we would love to hear your topics, your questions, all of that stuff. Nick wants to hit you with his normal lines right now, so I'm going to let him do that.
Say, like, subscribe, share this video, tell all your friends that 3 Fun Guys are teaching you guys financial responsibility. Anheuser-Busch, Natter Days. Actually, it's strawberry lemonade, very exciting beer. I'm glad I drank it. Go ahead and sponsor us. So, guys, thanks for watching. Again, share this video. We've enjoyed talking about this one for sure.
Yeah, and I'm going to give a shout out to Grand Armory Brewery with the Nut of Your Business peanut butter stout. And then, of course, you know, when I ran out of that, I drank a couple Miller Lights. So, yeah.
And some water, baby.
Yes. some
Butter.
enhanced water, and Mike drank plain old water. So we hope you enjoyed what we had to talk about. We would really like, your feedback. Please give that to us, and we'll talk to you next week.